What is up, guys? Raymond here with another financial statement analysis video. In this video, we're going to be analyzing a stock called KWS SAAT. Correct me if I'm pronouncing the word SAT wrong. I believe I probably am. But if you're into my financial statement analysis videos, what we do in these videos are we analyze the top 3 financial statements of relevant to a company, that those being the income statement, balance sheet, and the cash flow statements, and we check the most important factors of each statement, and we analyze whether or not the company is strong financially, as well as the company's future, whether or not it's strong financially. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So without further ado, we're going to start with the key ratios. The first being the market cap, which is the overall price of the company. The market cap is 1.87 billion euros, which is good. We look for, when we analyze stocks, we always say that it's good to have a stock. It's good to invest in a stock that has a market cap of at least 1 billion. The revenue figure, which is the total sales for the last financial year, was 1.31 billion euros, which is really good, just slightly under the overall price. The dividend yield is very low, 1.41%. We always say that a good amount is about 5% if you're investing for dividends. Of course, this isn't a dividend stock, so I'm guessing what the company does with its earnings, if its earnings are adequate, is it reinvests it in the company. How well it does that is a different question. The PE ratio, which is price to earnings ratio, is the overall price of the company divided by the earnings per share. So to be able to get to that figure, we have to get the earnings per share, which in this case is 3.33 euros. Which is the earnings, which is the net income of the company for one particular financial year, in this case 2021, divided by the amount of shares outstanding, and that's, as I said, 3.33 euros. And then we get the and then we get the total earnings again, and then we divide it by 3.33 euros. Yeah, and then what we do, and then the final figure is the PE ratio, which is 17. We usually say that a good PE ratio is around 10. That is quite low, but we always try to say it's good to look for a company that has a PE ratio of around 10. Because then you can kind of say that, I believe that what it is the P ratio signifies how many years it will take on average, if the company's earnings stay consistent, for you to earn your money back, for you to earn a return of capital. So the beta is the last of the key ratios, which is 0.66, which is 66% of the market average of 1. Beta is just a representation of the risk level of the stock, how much volatility has the stock undergone. Okay, so now we're going to get into the 3 financial statements. As you can see straight away, the balance sheet graphs show the income statement graph showed that the profit, which is the dark blue figure, is quite consistent over the past 3 financial years. The revenue figure also is quite consistent with revenue growth. The revenue growth is quite slight. The 2020 to 2021 financial year, there hasn't been much growth, but there has been a little bit of growth. But from the 2019 financial year to the 2020 financial year, there was quite a bit more growth. But of course, as the company becomes larger, it's harder for the company to grow in financial terms, simply because of how much assets the company controls. But let's get into the balance sheet, which shows the overall assets that the company controls / owns, as a ratio to the total liabilities, what the company owes. The dark blue figure is the liabilities, and we can clearly see that the company has increased slightly over the past 3 financial years its total assets, but the total liabilities has also increased quite the same way, so quite slightly, which is definitely good. I would say a good debt to asset ratio is 50% or lower, and as you can see, in this case, it's about 50% or lower. So we're going to get into the last of the 3 financial statements, that being the cash flow statement. The cash flow statement we're going to go into a bit more detail in. it's divided up into three parts, excluding the net income. The net income is the starting line. The net income is the earnings for the last financial year, which was 110 million euros. And the cash from operating activities is the first part of the cash flow statement, which shows how much money the company made from basic operating activities, which was 168 million euros. Investment activities, the company spent 84 million euros on investing in property, plant, and equipment and other cash flow items. So 80 million of that amount was spent on capital expenditures, so increase in property, plant, and equipment, and other investing cash flows were a total 3.25 million euros, which is quite trivial. The second part of the the last part of the cash flow statement is how the company spent its money on financing activities. So the last part of the financial statement is the cash flow generated from financing activities. So that being how the company spent its money on dividends, as well as how the company spent its money on managing its debt. So the company managed to spend 12.5 million euros on financing cash flow items. It spent 23 million euros on paying dividends to shareholders, and it gained 70 million euros in debt. So it increased its liabilities. The foreign exchange effects of the currency is denominated in constituted a negative 16.8 million euros, and the total net change in cash, which is the total increase or decrease in cash at the end of the 2021 financial years, was 103.01 million euros, which is of course good because it's positive. That's how much cash the company has on hand. Let's just check how much the total net change in cash has changed over the past 3 financial years, just to see if there's any trend. So in 2019, it had a negative 32.83 million euros. 2020, it had a negative 40 million euros. So it increased its liabilities, its liquid liabilities. 2021, as we just saw, it increased it quite massively to 103 million euros. So that is the financial statement analysis of the KWS SAAT. Also, please correct me if I'm pronouncing the name SAAT wrong. And if you guys enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, please give it a thumbs down. Although I hope you don't give it a thumbs down. But if you have any feedback, if you have any comments, please comment in the section below, and I will hopefully see you in the next video.